Hello, everyone. This is a Latent Space Lightning Pod. Just me today in the remote studio with Dara. I'm gonna give this a shot. You correct me. Ladjevardian?
Honestly, pretty good. Ladjevardian. You said it.
Ladjevardian? Yeah. What nationality is that?
It's Iranian.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was really off. Anyway, you're co-founder and CEO of Delphi. I've heard about you for a number of people because obviously I'm very involved in like creator economy type things. But also, like, I think you're just doing really interesting tech on like video and voice and like RAG and all that good stuff. So anyway, welcome. How else do you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. Dara, co-founder and CEO of Delphi, and we allow people to create a digital version of their mind to scale their expertise in an interactive way. And that sounds crazy, so I'm happy to dive into it and tell you what that actually means.
Yeah. How about we just like kind of dive right into it? We can gas you up later, but like you've cloned me.
I,
Is that
I
is that what's
have.
going on? Yeah.
Yeah, you sent me your YouTube and your blog, and we've created a digital version of you. Should I go ahead and show it?
Let's do it.
Well, I'll show you first how we created it so I can give you the context. So first, all right, can you see? All right, so we have this dashboard where, this is who you are. You want to upload data from pretty much any source. You've uploaded your Twitter, your blog. You can also upload your YouTube channel, which we did, and it creates a feed so that it stays up to date. Your socials, Google Drive files, podcasts. I can search your name and it's going to pull any podcasts about you, snippets of text, Slack. And from there, we create a digital version of your mind that understands how you think, your reasoning patterns. And also, we support voice. I only took like a couple 30-second clips from YouTube. Obviously, the more you give, the more it will sound like you. I didn't create a video avatar of you, but that's something that you could do if we want to FaceTime it at some point. And yeah, then you can share it. People can talk to it in any language. You'll get insights on what people are asking, where it's missing data, any interesting AI engineers talking to your Delphi. I set up an automation so that whenever an AI engineer talks to it and has a certain level of expertise, it's going to tag them and notify you so that you can kind of segment your audience, people who listen to the podcast, maybe good people for your community. So that's the studio experience. Before I get to the consumer experience, any questions here that I can dive into?
No, I think this is very comprehensive. I like the design of the mind specifically because it looks like a file system. It feels like I could just kind of drop in anything from there, which is kind of cool. Many of these are my blog. Oh my God, you really imported all my blog posts.
Yeah, this is what I did last night. I actually learned a lot about you.
I have more blogs than this, but let's just keep it
You have three
focused.
separate blogs. Yeah, you have three
Yeah,
separate. You
yeah,
have a lot of writing.
I have a problem. But I mean, I think that is a thing that you, as someone who's like supporting creators, like, you're gonna have to figure out. Like some of us have multiple profiles and interests, and that happens. But anyway, yeah, I think this is super super interesting. I'm glad you didn't do the video yet, but like, I find that tends to be the most disturbing one. I tried one from Tavis the other day,
It's
and it was
uncanny.
just kind of, yeah, it's a little uncanny valley still. I'm sure like with some time it'll get there, but like also I'm not strictly sure it's necessary. Like people just want information. They know they're talking to an AI. It's not like you're lying to them. So I don't know what the video does if at all, it's just like a gimmick, maybe.
Well,
I don't know.
an interesting data point we saw was that consumers whose first experience with the product is through voice are feedback's more likely to come back. So I think there's some voice is good enough where it could seem like the person. I saw a video demo a couple weeks ago from a company called Persona AI, and it was so good and so realistic. And I was like, that's what it needs to be for it to be like a feasible use case for consumers.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, what should we go into next?
All right, I'll show you now the consumer experience. Maybe we should give you a call.
Oh, okay. I don't know how this works for recording, by the way. This tends to be tricky, but go ahead.
I said I'm sharing audio, so it should go through. So you can see here, we can chat with you. We can select the language, but I'm going to go for English. And any questions you want me to ask before we get on the call?
What's my favorite food? I don't know. Do we keep this AI related? But there was a blog post on my favorite food. You have to find it.
All right. Hopefully all the blogs went through. So that was a continuation of one of our previous conversations. Hey, so what is your favorite food? Is that true?
Sushi's up there, but it's not the right answer.
Give me a
There are two answers.
Maybe something from one of your blogs. Do you have any favorite foods that you've mentioned?
Favorite food in my blogs.
Okay, the start of that was really good in terms of the voice. Like that did sound like me, and then it sort of degraded into a generic male voice, I think.
Yeah, I think we need to definitely add more clips. Usually people will upload like an hour or two. The one-shot voice
Wow.
is like okay, but most people will update 1 to 2 hours. Let's ask something about anything related to AI.
Yeah. What is happening in reasoning models?
All right, tell me what's happening in reasoning models. What's the latest thing you have?
It's okay.
Yeah,
It could be more specific.
Yeah, it definitely could be better. But you can see here, voice. I'm not sharing that side. Share this tab. Yeah, you just upload some more clips here, and then good to go.
Amazing. So that's a quick demo of the product. You scaled this for like a lot of like notable names. I think maybe I would like to go back a little bit to like the founding story. Fun fact, you DM'd me in 2022 saying that you were experimenting with LLMs and you're trying to create chatbots of all the books that you want to read. So
Wow.
how did you go from that to Delphi?
Well, it actually started earlier than that. I read a book in 2014 called How to Create a Mind by Ray Kurzweil, and that's what got me into the AI space. And then in 2021, I was a solo founder and I was reading a book about my grandfather, who was this kind of legendary entrepreneur in Iran before the revolution. And I wanted to be able to ask him, what would you do in my situation? And obviously a book can't do that. And he had had a stroke a couple years prior. So I ended up creating a digital version of him that I could talk to and ask for advice. And in 2021, this was really expensive. So I was like, this probably can't be a business. LLMs are kind of weird right now. So I didn't really have the confidence to start it at the time. And then in 2022, when things were a lot cheaper, and I started a book club with my co-founder, and we were creating digital versions of all the authors in our book club, and it was actually useful. We were learning in like a personalized way, and from there, it just became very obvious to me that this is just a new form of media and content. You might write a blog post or create a podcast to reach more people, but now you can reach more people in a way that feels like you. It's conversation.
I think it's definitely a journey. So you just raised $60 million from Sequoia, so congrats.
Thank you.
What are the milestones that like gets Sequoia interested? I'm just kind of, obviously like a big name. You have lots of big names, but like you see lots of opportunities out there. You're not the only person in this space.
Totally. I mean, I think the graveyard of companies that have tried this idea are either people in Hollywood who think the connections are enough to make this work, and they're just focused on the novelty of having a digital mind versus actually what is the value you can get from this? Monetization, insights, it's more than just the thing. Or it's just AI researchers, and that kind of forgets this is a very human product. Like maybe you saw, like we really care about design because the idea of digitizing yourself requires a lot of trust. And so by the time I had been friends with Jess for a bit, not friends, but like we had been chatting and we had formed a good relationship. She has a really, really good product mind. And by the time we raised our Series A, we had gotten all of these big names on the platform, and even some making millions of dollars selling time with their mind. And I think we wanted to work with Sequoia because they have a great brand, and brand is really important for our kind of product. And they've worked with category creating companies, and I view what we're creating as an entirely new category.
I mean, it definitely is. It's still very immature. I would say like, as much as I cover AI, I'm definitely very human centric in what I create. I think there's this sort of trust element that people have. I guess how you like who are the customers? I feel like you're kind of a marketplace almost. You have the identities of the, what do you call them, experts, coaches that you have, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the people who are consuming them and interacting with them. So like maybe let's have a little bit on both sides.
So we're not in a marketplace yet. Eventually we'll build out a platform kind of like YouTube where you can find people, but our customers are CEOs, coaches, authors, influencers, newsletter writers, podcasters, anyone who wants to scale themselves, whether it's like a new kind of interactive personal website where you want to pick my brain, talk to my Delphi, and it's going to let me know if we should actually hop on a call based on what it knows about who I want to meet with, or 24/7 availability for your audience and customers, CEOs scaling themselves internally for new hires and onboarding, how should I think about product? How should I think about sales? And then a lot of experts using it as a new form of teaching. instead of a course or a book, now you have this thing that can honestly mentor someone in a personalized way. And we have some people monetizing. And then consumers are right now finding it mainly through the people that they follow. We do have an explore page and like a demo page, but eventually the idea is it's kind of like YouTube or LinkedIn where you can find certain people based on whatever goals you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I was just going to share the explore page. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, you're not a marketplace in the sense that you just charge like a fee, and the only side that is paying is the creators side, right? Like the consumers don't pay anything.
Yeah, most people are not monetizing. We do have some people monetizing and we get rev share.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think the value people get out of it is the same value you'd get out of like posting a podcast or, a newsletter. You're getting insights, you're getting inbound, you're impacting more people.
Yeah. I think that's the tricky thing. Like some of these names, you have really cool names like Arnold. I know about Brandon. You got Roloff from Sequoia. I imagine that was something that's important when you're raising from Sequoia. Anyone you want to highlight that just that people should know and try out as like these are your best known ones?
Yeah, I'll tell you the ones that I talk to. I mean, James Buckhouse is an amazing storyteller. I mean, I've spoken to his to get good storytelling advice during the fundraise and whenever I do presentations. Obviously, Lenny Rachitsky for product advice and go to market. He has great information. Matthew Hussey, he's the one making millions of dollars selling time with his mind. He's a dating coach. Obviously, Roloff and Keith for startup founders, Arnold for fitness. Yeah, and there's some like pretty
Arnold
niche
for
ones.
fitness, really?
Well, that's how he's using it. He has a fitness community, and his Delphi is like a fitness instructor for people to help them with workouts and get them motivated.
Okay, that's awesome. Arnold's pump club. It's like I kind of view him as more of a motivational figure. Obviously he was Mr. Universe, but like he's done a lot else since then.
He's been focusing a lot on fitness. He has a full fitness community, workouts, all of that.
Yeah, amazing.
Oh, Vanessa Edwards, actually great. She has great stuff on psychology and body language.
Yeah, awesome. I see some of these have like suggested questions in here. Lenny has like these, which I find a little bit easier to parse. I assume there's a lot of customization that can come out of this.
Yeah, you can
cool.
set it there, though I think at some point it would be better if it was something like Perplexity, where once you ask a question, it generates questions that would be interesting to you specifically versus what they want.
Yeah, follow on. Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm still getting to terms with this as a creator myself. I'm very protective of my brand. I'm sure every single one you mentioned, they're all very protective. How do people get comfortable with this? Like, you literally like don't know if I can endorse this until I've tried it out, and every single mistake makes my trust lower.
So I think a couple things. One, we have a strictness score where initially you can set it to strict and it will only say things that it's trained on that directly answers the question. And so we have a lot of doctors and lawyers and investors who are on that setting because they are kind of higher bar if it makes a mistake. The more powerful setting is adaptive, where it tries to reason on new situations. So for example, if a gardener were to come to my Delphi and say, I'm a gardener, how would I use this product? I've never spoken about gardening in my life, but it can infer what I might say in this new situation. You can also set some instructions for topics to avoid. I think we have a pretty great like guardrails layer against hallucination. That was like the first thing most people said. What if someone takes a screenshot and sends it to the Daily Mail and, I get in trouble? That's like everyone's first fear. And then I think we've overcome that. We work with tons of doctors who have the highest bar in these kinds of things.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, let's I think let's talk a little bit about tech stack. Did you build a lot in-house? Are there any partners that, you find a lot of value from that you want to highlight? Anything like that?
We're multi-model architecture, OpenAI, Claude, Mixtral, Llama. The key thing with the mind architecture, it's a temporal knowledge graph. Knowledge graphs are great because they understand context. Who you are changes depending on what you're doing and what your objective is. Temporal because your beliefs change over time. But yeah, that's kind of the back end, and we're only just getting started. Like a key challenge we're trying to solve right now are like evals for the mind. Like what are the core things that make up a human being? And like how Dara is this message? How do you even evaluate that?
Yeah. Well, do you want to? I mean, I'm happy to riff with you, but also like part of the reason for doing this podcast is we want to nerd snipe other engineers into joining you. So I'm just like trying to dig for interesting technical problems, right? It sounds like here it's really just the engineering about the guardrails and like the mind. Any other sort of interesting, like I guess evals, right? Like I almost think like there you need to do internal evals for you, but you also need to expose the evals to me as a creator because I need to be comfortable that you're representing me.
Yeah, there's internal evals for fast iteration. Then there's external evals like confidence score when it's being adaptive. How lenient do you want to be? Like 0.5 confidence score. Maybe we allow people to choose. Allowing it to be predictive of what someone might say in new situations is kind of the gold standard because then we can do what we want to do in the future, which is simulation as a service. You can have your digital mind simulate millions of conversations with other minds and come back to you and say, these are the best people you should talk to. Yeah, and style transfer is something that we're constantly thinking about. Better voice and like more emotional tone is something that we're thinking about. So yeah, the bar for creating a human mind is so high, and we want to honor humans and do them right.
Yeah, totally. Do you think that a temporal knowledge graph, the mind, which is kind of like the RAG base, like what are the major components that you're thinking about but you haven't added yet?
I think that I think at a certain point, it'll be cheap enough to train our own models. Maybe not now, but I think we have an agent sitting on top of the temporal knowledge graph architecture to figure out how to use it. And that agent should almost be like how you think about your memories is different than how I think about my memories. So even the agent needs to be fine tuned in your way of like recall and retrieval.
Yeah. So it needs to like kind of modify its own code. It needs to
Yeah,
modify its
like
own
modify
retrieval
its own
technique.
code and like think in the way the user would on what to say and how it should say it. And then know right now it's manual. You decide what data is available to the public or to a certain person and decide what data is available to your team. Ideally, it does that intelligently. Like it knows who it's talking to and knows what to share and what not to share.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Anything else? Like, I think voice is a special focus. Like you said, voice increases engagement 5x or return rate
Yeah.
5x,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Any voice tips or things that you've found? Is it just like an OpenAI voice? Is it a custom TTS? Do we care about that, or do you have a higher level insight on voice
We're,
engineering?
we're experimenting with multiple 11 labs, Cartesia. We're fine tuning some of our own right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying with prompting. We haven't really found something that is like great. Obviously, you have like Sesame and
For
Hume that
for
have
what?
for like emotional empathy, like it having
Okay.
nuance and sounding real for mimicking specific voices. Obviously, the Human and Sesame have like these specific voices that are really good at that, and we're trying to figure out how we can make that for the person.
Yeah, I think Cartesia has a lot of options, which I think is impressive. But like,
Yeah.
there's also there's a number of smaller voice vendors that I could refer you to. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm kind of curious, like, if someone came along and said like, we are the fastest voice inference on the planet, it actually isn't that appealing to you, right? Like, it's not about speed; it's about
Not about
quality.
speed. Some of our customers have actually asked us to make it slower. So
Why?
I don't know. Sometimes they feel like when you talk to someone and it's a complex problem, they should be thinking longer to make it sound more real, depending on the complexity of the question. I don't fully agree with that, but I understand where it's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, you can do like sort of thinking words like, that's a really good question, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
and like that. You
Breathing.
can sort of buy time with that, but also make
Yeah.
it feel natural.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else where if you had someone with a solution that came along that you really needed, you would be like, yeah, I want that instantly. Like, like better memory, better knowledge graphs. I don't know. Like what's like a thing that you're really trying to solve that's like a fun technical issue?
I think maybe three things. One is style transfer. I still think like, what is tone and style? It's a combination of not just words and diction, but like behavior, how you decide to ask follow-up questions. And you could fine tune a model sometimes for that. But obviously when you fine tune, it kind of loses the instruction following capabilities of like guiding someone. So better ideas for style transfer. Another one is like feedback mode. If someone has like a piece of feedback for their digital mind, maybe they just like type it into a text box and we run like or like 100 simulations on like, what is the best way to update this knowledge graph in order to meet that feedback? So simulation as a service as a form of testing, and then confidence scores in responses. I think those are three things that I'm really focused on right now.
These are Fantastic answer. The first one on style transfer is something I think about a lot, because I think, yeah, I mean, like, we're trying to automate our social media posting as well, right? But not to do it in a way that is GPT slop, because
Yeah.
that will just kill us, right?
Yeah.
So, like, this is maybe like the most important problem in content creation, which is like, how do you sound more human? How do you sound more like the person? But like, make it a sort of LLM. My quick 2 cents on how I'm doing this, and you can tell me what if you already tried this or something, is that you have the raw GPT slop first cut version, then
Yeah.
you critique it. You feed some examples of stuff you've done before, of course. But the important thing is to critique the slop, to get like the sort of A/B test, like the Ella Marina sort of side by side comparison, and to articulate why exactly you prefer one over the other, and that articulation becomes part of the prompt. So to me, like, it's kind of like you have to do a few rounds of kind of like an Ella Marina style, like, side by side, which one's better, and then say why, but that why is the style transfer.
Yeah. I think it makes sense on an individual basis. The thing with Delphi, everything we do has to be scalable without friction to thousands of people.
Oh shit.
Yes. That's why like every solution we decide to do can't be something that takes time, or it needs to be like immediate.
Okay. Uh, there's other people that are working on simulation as a service. It's mostly just like, batch API and run it across a ton of different personas. I don't think they're anywhere near as detail oriented as you're going to have to be. So there's that. And then confidence score, is that currently just structured output with a confidence field? Is there any better version of a confidence score that exists?
I'm trying to, I mean, the best version of this is, like if you ask me a question that like, what would you do in my situation? I've never talked about your situation. It gives an answer. There's a score of confidence, and then there's like a explanation trail. Like, why did Dara reason this? Like, what are the things that led him to reasoning this? What are maybe like the different options? Maybe like there are 5 different things I could say, and it chose one with the highest confidence. And maybe you can switch it out. I'm just kind of riffing, but I feel like that would be the best.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I think there's a general research area of calibration. We had this conversation with Clementine from Hugging Face a while ago, where she was actually looking out for more calibration type benchmarks, as basically because you're using LLMs as a judge, LLMs estimating their own confidence of their own results. Most of it's just made up. They're not trained to do this well. They're all gonna, if you do like, 1 to 10, rate your confidence, they're all gonna choose 7. Like, there's a bunch of biases in there that are just like really not aligned. I think there's some tricks that I agree with. So some tricks, for example, is don't use numbers, use words, right? So like the numbers can be left up to interpretation, but the words, the LLMs are much better trained on. So
yeah.
That would be my 2 cents.
I mean, it's definitely a fun space to work on. One of the things we're launching in a couple of weeks, not everyone has a podcast or a blog in order to create a high quality digital mind. And so we're launching 2 things. One is a mind quality score. How ready is your mind in representing you based on like, you go through onboarding, it grabs your LinkedIn profile, learns a bit about you. And then what I've been doing a lot of research on, what are the core questions that give you maximal information about someone? And then we have this onboarding experience called interview mode, where it asks you those questions in like a fun way. And that mind quality score gets higher and it learns more about you. And that's going to allow us to open up our free tier. Our free tier isn't available right now, but we wanted it to be available once everyone could technically build a high quality one.
Interesting. Aren't you worried about costs? Like, this is presumably a very expensive product.
No, because my opinion, when I created the digital mind of my grandfather, it was like 10,000 times more expensive. And so we just changed our pricing model. Everyone gets unlimited usage. Huge bet. We're probably going to lose money in the short term, but I don't want to build a product that people are disincentivized to share. They're scared of getting priced. Like, the reason people would pay is like the value they get from it versus just usage. And I think that if I had to make a bet, I think usage-based pricing will be less and less common over the coming years.
Yeah. I think that's very counter consensus. Can you say more, just in general? Because like, everyone's just going from seat-based to usage-based.
Yeah, no, we're the opposite. We went from usage-based to value-based. And one is the incentive structure. By pricing on usage, people are less likely to share their Delphi. They're less likely to use it. By pricing on value, it also forces the team. Those insights need to be super valuable. It needs to be beautiful. There needs to be other ways of getting value versus just usage. And then the second thing is just betting on the price going down to little to none. OpenAI, Claude, all these model companies are decreasing their prices every year. And it's like, what, we need to follow them every year? No, let's just not price on usage at all. And let's just make it unlimited.
Yeah, I mean it's a crazy time, and things are always decreasing in price. I think like something I had the original price chart of like I think the original price of GPT-4 has gone down 1,000 times in the last 2 years, which in terms of that level of intelligence, which is really
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool, awesome. I think we've mostly covered the state of things today. Anything about like where things are going? In 5 years, will we all have digital minds? Will we be doing dating? Will we I think there's a lot of people trying to work on digital mind dating.
Yeah. Dating is probably the last use case I'm thinking of for Delphi. Once everyone can have a digital mind, we already have people using it as a replacement of their resume or a personal website where, you want to pick my brain. I get so much spam in my email. So why don't you talk to my digital mind first as the first line of defense? And then it'll let me know whether, you're someone I should meet with. And eventually with the platform, your digital mind can simulate conversations with others to find the best expert or mentor, kind of like GLG consulting, the best partner, the best new hire, pretty much any way of finding people based on their expertise.
Would you ever release like an API? Because I feel like I would like to build on this, but it's kind of text first.
What was the question? Sorry, you cut out for a second.
Would you release with an API? Because I feel like once I have my digital clone, I can use it in all sorts of situations, but I kind of need to be able to shape it in my way.
We believe we're anti-walled garden, and we've learned that if someone's going to go through the friction of creating a digital mind, they want it to work everywhere. So we already have integrations for Zoom, WhatsApp. We're going to release an API probably end of this year. So yeah, we're very much open to, central source of your digital identity, and it works everywhere.
Yeah, that makes sense. Very cool. I mean, congrats on all your success. Like, this is like a very clean and well-designed platform, but also I think it's a good vision that you guys are going after.
Thank you.
To me, it's a surprise to see that we're here already. I thought that the LLMs are not reliable enough to do this yet, but the sheer number of people that you have on your platform, the Sequoia backing, and just obviously the demo, the ability to sort of show your tech so easily, I think it's really impressive.
Appreciate it. Yeah, after this meeting, I'm gonna make sure all your data is uploaded so it sounds better, and then
it'll just take some time to ingest.
Yeah,
no, I'll try my best to fill it up. There's a little part of me that,
add like a 5-minute recording of you speaking it. I think that'll be good.
Yeah. I'll give that a shot. I mean, I actually think I want to encourage more people to do this. Basically, you have to output more content. Most people just don't. They just consume all day. They go to work, and it's fine. But I think we're all in the business of we want to encourage people to share more, even if they don't have a huge audience, because it is actually you're digitizing yourself, and you can use platforms like Delphi to actually turn that into monetizable expertise, or just a record of what you're doing and thinking. I'm turning myself into training data.
That's what we hope interview mode to be. Anyone can embed their expertise. Everyone has some experience in their life that could benefit someone else.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Dara.
Thanks so much. This is great.